Have you ever noticed how the buzz of bees can suddenly make you aware of a world you usually tune out? In Kenya's landscapes, that familiar sound is fading into an eerie silence, and farmers are getting worried. Their avocados are smaller, coffee yields dropping, and watermelons not quite as sweet. With over 40% of bees vanishing in just 14 years and economic losses now hitting 14.3 billion shillings yearly, this isn't just about missing honey. It's about missing meals. As we begin Earthwise Season 3, we're doing something different. This time, you, the viewer, have a say in what we present to you, what episode we show you. And I have a message here from Kokwon Noel, who says, "Hello Zainab, it's great to connect. My name is Kokwon and I'm a climate agroecologist. I used to watch your show. Amazing work, by the way. But I must mention that my mom is your biggest fan. She absolutely loves your show. Thank you for all that you do." She's also a farmer, and she recently shared with me that many farmers don't fully understand the importance of pollinators, especially now as their populations are declining due to climate change. She wasn't aware of this, and she believes there should be more awareness and education for farmers on this issue. Well, guess what, Kokwon? Episode 1 of Earthwise Season 3 is about pollinators. These insects that are so small, but oh, so mighty. I hope your mom enjoys this episode. Welcome to Earthwise. My name is Zainab Wandati.
Mimi ni mkulima wa pollen glory, mfugaji wa nyuki, na nyuki zinasaidia sana upande wa pollen kwa ukulima wa mahindi, maharagwe, malenge, Addis pumpkin, na kwa mimea kwa jumla. Inasaidia sana, na pia inaleta chakula. Tunapata chakula kutoka kwa nyuki tukikula usali. Ina manufaa mingi kwetu kama binadamu.
Nyuki inanisaidia sana sababu mimi natoanga asali. Saa zingine ninauza, napata pesa, nasomesha watoto.
You realize that not many people are actually taking note of what butterflies and their role in our environment do. And what we've actually brought out for us is to be able to bring out the importance of these species, the importance of these small animals, and connect their role so that people can learn about them, but more importantly, their role in our environment, their role in conservation, their role in what we call community livelihood.
Sasa wakati tulianza kufuga nyuki, kabla tuanze, tulikuwa na shida ya pollination, manake inakuwa ukipanda, hata ukianza kupanda, ile pollination inakuwa ni low. Sasa wakati tulianza kufuga nyuki, tunaona inaendelea mzuri.
Remember when you were a child running through fields and getting startled by bees and insects? That's becoming a rare experience in Kenya these days. Just ask any farmer whose crops rely on pollination. In just one recent year, between 2021 and 2022, beekeepers lost more than a third of their colonies, 36.6% gone. And when the hot, dry season hits, nearly 32% of bees disappeared. That's a far cry from the 1980s when Kenya was practically buzzing with around 2 million bee colonies, pumping out 100,000 tons of honey every year. Fast forward to 2018, and we're down to just 1.5 million hives. Something's definitely off. Do you remember in school when your science teacher used to tell you about the parts of an insect, head, thorax, abdomen? Did you pay attention? Okay, so over the next couple of minutes, we are bringing you kind of back into a science class, but not really, in a lab that deals about insects. So not only will you remember head, thorax, abdomen, but you'll also get to hear about why it's important for you to learn about insects, because they're crucial to the survival of the human race. And here we have Dr. Muo Kasina, who is an entomologist at Calro. Dr. Kasina, what is an entomologist?
As a person who studies, learns, and becomes a professional in insects.
A professional in insects.
Yeah,
so you paid attention when the science teacher said head, thorax, abdomen.
I guess so.
Or you're the science teacher.
Yeah. Later I became a science teacher, a professional in insects. Yeah, and I've come to like insects.
Not just any specific or all of them?
Well, insects, when you like insects, you start studying different kind of insects. Insects that have a lot of economic importance to people, whether they are causing diseases or whether they are carrying diseases, human diseases, whether they are carrying plant diseases, or whether they are eating plants that we eat, we start competing with them for food, or others that eat those bad insects.
So you're the bad guy.
Yeah.
Bad guy.
Yes, I'm a bad guy.
Okay.
Yes.
So while we're here in your lab today, you know this thing that's happening around the world of the pollinators crisis.
Yes.
The colonies are collapsing.
Yes.
They're becoming fewer and fewer.
Yes.
Are we facing something similar here in Kenya?
Yes, we have a massive problem, a very big problem actually, on reducing colonies in our country. We are finding also swarms. The bee swarming movement has really reduced. And we have wide range of reasons that we could be having as a reason. While globally there are other reasons where bee colonies have
like
reduced.
Climate change.
Like climate change, like pesticide use. In Kenya, the challenges are quite multifaceted. Climate change combined with land degradation.
Land degradation.
Yes, and I would think land degradation is
The bigger factor.
the big factor.
Here's where it gets really concerning. Kenya's horticulture industry brings in about 157 billion shillings a year. That's serious money. Even with fewer bees around, they still manage to help produce over 17,000 tons of honey, worth 5.1 billion shillings in 2023. But honey is just the sweet bonus. The real value of bees is what they do to other crops.
Sometimes farmers would harvest every 3 months or 4 months, they would harvest. Now, a farmer is taking a year to harvest because bees are not accumulating enough honey such that you can harvest. You know, human beings steal from bees.
Yes.
So bees keep there for their own use, and then people come and take what they have done. Now they are not having enough. If you don't have enough, you can also not produce enough to expand the colony.
How many kinds of crops in Kenya do we have that require pollination, where pollination is a necessity?
I did some math some years ago. Out of 113 crops that 87 were dependent on pollinators directly. Directly.
And these are things like?
These are things like fruits. You know, we have a lot of different kinds of fruits, nuts. You know, talking about macadamia, you won't get your nut totally if you don't have these bees. Totally, you won't harvest anything. Talking about cashew nuts, those are nuts. And then we have also legumes that have some level of dependence. The beans that you like, the cowpeas, the green grams, the pigeon peas, they have some dependence. The tomatoes that you like, they also have some dependence on bees. So wide range of crops, wide range. Even bees, even maize. The maize that we know is wind pollinated. Bees go to collect pollen because they need pollen to feed their young ones. And when they are collecting pollen, they open, you know, the pollen to be able to be moved by the wind. Yes.
Think about what you ate today. Coffee for breakfast? It's 80% dependent on pollinators and brings Kenya 29.4 billion shillings yearly. Avocado toast? Those avocados are 95% dependent on bees and worth 16.3 billion to the economy. Tomatoes in your lunch? That's another 14.7 billion shillings. Mangoes, macadamia nuts, watermelon, they all need pollinators to thrive. All this add up to massive losses when bees and pollinator colonies decline. Just last year, farmers lost 14 billion shillings due to lack of pollination. That's a lot of money to take out of a farmer's pocket. So what's going on? Two big culprits: climate change and disappearing habitats. Kenya's weather patterns are getting weird. In Laikipia, the March, April, May rains start later and finish earlier than they used to. That means less time for plants to flower, which means less food for bees. Over in Baringo County, the unpredictable temperatures and rainfall directly affect when and if plants produce nectar.
The idea is, as it moves into the flower, it brushes the pollen on its body. It carries. When it comes to the other flower, the flower, by some magnetism,
Can pick it.
it releases itself to move in there. So if you have no pollination, or if you have sprayed your crop and killed the bees, then they are very ineffective. Add that to the fact that during dry weather, there is food shortage for everybody, for every creature. The bee population goes down because there is no
Water.
food. So when there is no food, when you plant your crop, it takes time for this population to build in order to pollinate. Sometimes it's too late. So you are advised how to keep your colonies healthy and ready. It's like keeping your soldiers in the barracks, but you are feeding them and training them, ready to fight when the time comes. That's what happens.
For a long time and for many years, people only see butterflies out either in the environment or in the gardens, and they are hardly noticed. Most of the time, I give them the name, they are the unsung heroes, in our environment, because they do work that most people don't take note of. It's very, when you look at their role in pollination, when you look at their role in environmental health, when you look at their role in habitats health, not many people can take those as direct, what you call benefits. But to scientists or to many people that are now taking note of that, they realize just how much butterflies are playing a very big role in the pollination of our plants, in the pollination of our native trees, taking very big role in as pollinators also in the gardens. So you realize with time, many people only acknowledge the bee. But if I tell you that butterflies do more than 65% of the pollination better than bees because of their long proboscis and because they can move very swiftly from flower to flower without much hesitation in terms of restriction. So that way they play a bigger role, and that's why we can have what we call more vegetables, fruits, back to us as humans. But also in the wild, they do what we call a big role in giving what we call back to seedlings and propagation that goes on in the wild. That way they keep our habitats, they keep our forests, and they keep our trees actually germinating. When you look at the big, what we call question, or the big question now in climate change and its effect on our environment, the rising temperatures have really had a huge effect on butterfly populations. They've actually indeed led to their decline, and this has been because of, one, due to climate change, but also due to a lot of the human activities like deforestation. But rising temperatures have had a very huge effect on what you call the vegetation that butterflies rely on. One thing I should tell you is that butterflies are very host dependent. So they are very dependent on plants. That's why there's a very strong link between plants and butterflies, in the sense that butterflies can only breed each species on a certain tree specific for its for that kind of species. Let me use a very layman's language so that we connect nicely to the public. If, for example, a butterfly feeds on this tree, and when we're talking feeding on this tree, it means during the pupa stage, yeah? So the parent can only lay their eggs on a hibiscus leaf, for example, where the egg will develop into a caterpillar, and the caterpillar will start feeding on the leaves of this tree. So on a layman's language, it means if this tree is no longer there, we can never find that butterfly anywhere, because it is very much dependent on that host plant as a breeding whatever. In the adult stage, they actually can feed on nectars from the flowers, but in the caterpillar stage, that's the crucial stage that connects us back to the tree health and back to the variety of plants that we can find in the forest. So in that sense, what are we saying? We are saying if you cut a certain tree in the forest that a butterfly is dependent on, you will never find that butterfly there. In short, butterflies are very good, what we call in our scientific language, bioindicators. So they are indicators of a very good environmental health. So where you find more variety of butterflies, and variety means species, you'll also find more variety of other invertebrates in that environment, because it's a healthy environment.
You can actually see the pattern in the numbers. Severe droughts in 2016 and 2017, and again 2021 to 2022, caused bee populations to plummet. The government tried to help with the National Pollinator Strategy in 2018, which gave managed honeybees a small boost, but wild pollinators keep sliding downhill. Then there's the habitat problem. Between 1980 and 2000, Kenya lost nearly half its forest cover, about 300,000 hectares gone to logging, charcoal, and farming. Since 2001, another 19% of tree cover has vanished. In places like the Mara River Basin, forests are disappearing at nearly 2% per year. At that rate, half the basin's forests will be gone by 2040. Okay, so when you say land degradation affecting insects,
yes,
what do you have in mind? What does this degradation look like?
The lack of food, the forest loss, land losses, conversion of land to building, conversion of land to pure monocrops. It has denied insects food. So if you are dealing with bees need huge amount or number of flowers. Flowers are becoming less and less, and they are becoming specific quality or kind, such that the bees are not having enough quality food.
These threats hit hardest in specific regions. In the central highlands of Kenya, where coffee and fruits grow, the western agricultural belt and the coastal zones are seeing pollinator populations drop by more than half. The Rift Valley and Northern Highlands are doing slightly better, but still losing 30 to 50% of their pollinators. So I heard that when you have bees, you need to have flowers and lots of water.
Oh yes, there are a lot of flowers. You see, the flowers we are talking about are not for beauty. There are many flowers. Even these are flowers.
Okay. So flowers don't have to be the beauty flowers.
No. They will know where to go for it.
But the good news is there is hope, and you are at the center of these solutions.
These are the principles which must be followed if you have to have a sustainable, resilient ecosystem for agriculture. And this is now the main thing. You will notice that everybody now is talking of agroecology. Agroecology is finding challenges because we discourage the use of pesticides, the use of chemical fertilizers. We discourage all that. Why? The soil, as you see, is not just soil. The soil is rich with microorganisms and other creatures. So when you poison the soil, which is your main productive unit, what will you get later? You cause trouble for yourself. So we try to make sure they don't do that. But they say now, can I watch my crop go down because of insects? Can I watch my animals go down? Because we say, go for the breed which is resistant. It may not give you, if it's a cow, it may not give you as much milk as a hybrid, but it's much easier to keep.
Initially, Arabuko Sokoke, which is the biggest remaining coastal forest in Kenya and in Africa, was under threat of destruction. Actually, there was an allocation to have the forest subdivided some years back, more than 20 years back. But due to the communities and due to the work that we've done through butterfly education and butterfly breeding, this was able to be secured because the communities themselves were able to actually go against that and say, no, we are benefiting from this forest and we would want to keep it other than subdividing it into agricultural spaces. The other evidence for our conservation practice into policy, not many works have been done on butterflies, especially in Kenya and in Africa. And so for people to be able to recognize their role, we've had a very good impact in enhancing what we'll call researchers and young people internships to be able to influence their way of either through education to be able to do research, but also to be able to uptake that in their degrees, in their research, in their papers. And that has helped us to be able to bring a bigger highlight of these creatures, of these butterflies for conservation value. And this has actually straightened most of these policies.
So this decline, the colonial decline, is it something we can fix? What is it we need to do to fix it?
It's multifaceted. When one thing that I've seen a discussion within the country is banning of some pesticides.
Okay.
That one I have seen ongoing. If we can remove some very toxic pesticides, and some pesticides don't look toxic. If you spray even bees, they will not die, but they affect the nervous system. So these insects will not be able to remember where they were. They are home, and so they keep on dying. Yeah, so some nervous, some pesticides that affect nervous system have a lot of impact on bees. If you remove them, the population will change. It will start growing. They can come back, and then planting different kind of trees. Not only trees, shrubs, herbs, allowing weeds, allowing our homes to be surrounded by several weeds all over. These provide feed for insects.
Watu wanaogopa hizo, juu wanasema nyoka zitakuja.
No.
Nyoka itakuja. So you want a well manicured lawn.
Yes.
Where everything is green and the grass is short.
Goodness.
That is not good for insects.
Because now look at it this way. You have a well manicured lawn, grass, and then termites decide to set up. So, and termites, controlling termites is one of the most problematic things. And then you use very toxic insecticides. These insecticides, when you walk and your children walk in these grasses, they are getting to your skin, your body skin. So you get also affected. Anything that can kill an insect can kill human being.
Kenya isn't alone in this crisis. Worldwide, 75% of food crops need pollinators, but since 2006, bee populations have plummeted everywhere. Insects are vanishing at 2.5% annually, with 40% of species facing extinction. Without pollinators, global harvests could drop 5 to 8%, costing up to $577 billion yearly. The silver lining? Kenyan farmers are adapting. Those using pollinator-friendly practices have nearly tripled from 12% in 2015 to 31%.
Kabla nianze kufuga nyuki, chenye nilikuwa na challenge napitia ilikuwa sasa nikilima mahindi, ilikuwa ukipata mahindi ndani iko na mianya, inamaanisha pollination haikuenda through. Kwa hivyo wakati nilianza kufuga nyuki, saa hiyo ukiona mahindi yangu iko sawa. Hiyo ndio manufaa moja nimeanza kupata kwa nyuki. Saa hii nikilima malenge, hizi pumpkins naona ikifanya vizuri. Naona kamuti kidogo kakianza kusaa mapema, juu ya nyuki siko karibu naye. Pollination inaenda through haraka.
Awareness remains a critical gap. Despite pollinators underpinning Kenya's food systems, only 1 in 4 Kenyans fully grasp the importance, while over a third know almost nothing about these essential creatures. That tiny buzz you hear in your garden, That's the sound of food security, and preserving that sound isn't just for experts. After all, in the battle for Kenya's food future, the smallest warriors may just be the most important ones we need to save. Would you like to interact with us? Earthwise would love to hear from you.